Hello, everybody. How are all of you? Thank you so much for joining us. Good morning, good afternoon, good midday too, depending on where you are. Welcome, yes, to Module 4 of our High Impact 2 Customer Care course, the online version.
Yes, our air conditioning's running. I promise this will turn off. I hope that's not interrupting our audio, so maybe we'll be a little loud right now. But this is our final session. This is it. So we're going to get right into it, and we'll talk about the test or the exam that's going to take place today.
Yes.
All righty.
Let's get started. How to best benefit while we're all together. Be prepared for the test at the end of the session. We're going to share some things to make sure you're ready to go there. Make sure you're all set. Please ensure you're uninterrupted if you can, certainly during the test. You don't want any distractions there. So anything you guys need to do would be great there. Take really, really good notes. We're going to get into some additional help with sales objections today, which we know you all want, and our resell the service, step 8 of the sales cycle. So a lot of good content to share.
Please keep an open mind. There's going to be quite a few things we're sharing today that we want you to take to heart and immediately apply when you get back to the counter today.
Absolutely. And during our session, all you need to do, as you have in the past, is simply submit your questions via the question panel. And we will do everything we can to answer those live. If we can't get to those live, of course, Jen will be following up with the answers for you.
Yeah, and I hope you guys have been checking your emails. So if there's been any questions that you've typed in that we haven't gotten to, the day we end the webinars, I'm sending email responses back to you if we didn't answer them live. So just make sure you're checking your junk and spam if you're wondering why we haven't gotten back to you.
Just in case it didn't show up in that inbox, it'll be there.
Yeah.
All right. So into our sales cycle again. We hope this is becoming very familiar to all of you, that this was new to in the beginning. We've made it a point to make sure to cover this each time we get together because of how critical it is to your success and clear communication with your customers. The greatest cause of sales objections and losing sales is the service advisor. And it's because we're not following the sales cycle. So this is really important that you internalize this and keep it in front of you when you sell. Today, we're going to be spending a little bit of time on step 7, right, Jen? We're going to get into some sales objection help, which technically is step 7, but you're going to see that step 8 is the one that's highlighted because we're going to put a good chunk of time into that.
Yeah. So just to kind of remind you guys, there's 2 ways that we're going to pitch the resell the service to you today. First way I want to talk about it is how it's designed to be used in the sales cycle. So just as a friendly kind of reminder, I'll just run through the sales cycle for an example when you're at the point of sale. So let's say you've done your prep work, you're ready to pick up the phone and make that or attempt that sales presentation with your customer. You're going to follow this sales cycle by design. The steps are there for a reason. We never cut corners. We always want to follow this. So if I'm calling a customer, I'm obviously going to sell myself. I'm going to hit step number 1 and build rapport when they answer the phone. Now, if there's any further questions or anything that you need to, finish crossing your T's or dotting your I's with, that would be the time to have them open up, answer any questions, fact find with them. Step 3 would be where you audibly identify the customer's needs and concerns, reminding them what they were after, getting that audible agreement that, yep, service advisor, you're right. This is where you can tell them, well, don't worry, we're going to solve your personal needs, your vehicle needs. It's going to be great news.
Yeah.
Then this is where you go into the solutions. Maybe it's a laundry list of discoveries. Maybe it's options. It's just going to kind of depend on that situation. But while you're identifying the solutions, you're still always going to build interest and value. So remember, we talked about benefit selling. That tattoo, right? What's in it for the customer? That's how you're going to build interest and value. Once you've done that, you would ask for the sale. That would be the next appropriate step. Actually get an answer from them if they're going to move forward or not. And then we're going to talk about closing the sale in a little more detail today. But remember, that's where you just make sure they're at peace with everything you just shared. If they have questions or a concern or objection, this is where it's going to pop up.
Right.
This is where you would handle that. You would close the sale. And then for today, I want to talk about reselling the service right now. As a reminder, and this is like a favorite step from shop owners, right?
It is. Yeah, they love the way it sounds because it sounds so professional, and it just really dramatically reduces buyer's remorse.
This is where whatever decision your customer has made on that phone call, you're going to say, you know what, that's a really good call. you're going to be very happy and pleased with the results. Or you would say, you know, if I were in your position, you know what, I'd be doing the exact same thing. Basically, everyone, it's that little affirmation, that pat on the back that they just approved the right thing. We all need that. So that's what we mean by reselling the service as step number 8. So really hone in on those stars that you guys see on the left-hand side. But for today, what we're going to do is shift focus on step number 8, meaning resell the service to reduce buyer's remorse at the point of sale. Where we're going to focus it on is the vehicle delivery process.
Yeah, that whole process of after the customer says yes, they give you that affirmation on the phone, you hang up and you say, okay, great, we'll have it ready by 5. They show up to pick up the car. We kind of look at that as one giant resell because they're back. You have an opportunity to really let them know that they still really matter to you and you're still going to give them that same time and attention and care and professionalism at that point. Not to mention it's the last impression that we have.
Last impression. So think about it this way. If you've been busting your tail and making this entire experience fabulous and the customer's feeling really great, they're going to expect that when they walk in to pick up the car. And now that you've just swiped their credit card, if they feel like you're rushed or you're on to the next sale, you know, the next person, ooh, that could do a lot of brand damage.
Yep. If they suddenly don't feel as important as they did before you got their credit card, so to speak, or their verbal okay on the repairs, they're going to feel slighted, they're going to feel taken advantage of, and it's going to leave a really bad taste for them. So we want to really impress them. This is your time to really shine and show them what service is all about.
Yeah, so we'll get into that, but hopefully that makes sense. And you want to get into the next slide then?
Yeah, why don't we?
Okay, good. All right. Okay, so we have some really helpful rules, we'll call them, when it comes to handling a customer concern and or a sales objection. So just to be clear, a sales objection is basically the reasoning a customer is saying no, right?
Yeah, this is way too much money. Gosh, I think maybe I could get it done less somewhere else. I think this is insane. I'm going to trade it in. Let me talk to my husband.
Yeah,
all both thought of the same one.
All those.
So any of those things, we're going to consider those as they're not quite sold. There's something they feel uncomfortable with. So what are the rules? How do we want to make sure to handle these in the appropriate way? Okay. Number 1 here says always be empathetic. The very first thing you need to do before you go anywhere near trying to answer their objection or their question or trying to defend your position is the first thing you have to do is show empathy.
Yes.
Yes. So this is so important.
This is where it becomes less transactional. And I know there's probably some veterans here that have been selling service for decades.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
I know you've probably heard the same sales objections over and over again for years. And it is easy to get jaded. We want you guys to really understand that we don't know what battles our customers are fighting every day. And just because you've heard for the 1 millionth time that they're not going to move forward because of, we still need to be empathetic. So take a moment, really show genuine empathy. If they're in front of you, look them in the eyes, shake your head, listen, right? Don't interrupt. Don't come off as defensive.
Don't go like this.
Yeah. Think about your everything, your demeanor, your body language, your tonality, your facial expressions. If they say that they can't afford this because their wife just got laid off, I mean, take a moment and have a conversation and show some human sides to these problems.
I mean, and even if they just say they can't afford it or it's too much, show empathy. They don't have to give you a reason. It's just so critical to your success to do this, and it's the right thing to do, right? If we do the right things for the right reasons, good things will happen. Money will follow. We need to make sure people know we really care about them, and they'll be more apt to listen to you, right? When you're trying to help them through this objection. So the first thing, should we do just like a little role play on empathy?
Sure.
So let's say I asked for the sale, and I told Jen it's going to be. Well, I'll just go ahead and do it. So Jen, the total for everything today would be, let's see, a total of only $1,485.16.
Wow.
And all I'll need is your go ahead and we could get John started on it right away.
That's insane. That is so much money, Doris. I mean, that's a lot of money. I don't think I can do that.
Oh, gosh. Jen, it sounds like that's just a lot for you to absorb, maybe unexpected and way more than you were thinking.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, we can't afford this. I mean,
Yeah.
the kids are back in school and Christmas is around the corner. Like, there's no way.
Ugh, I'm so sorry to hear that, and I've been there. Trust me. I'll help you through this.
Okay. Just something
Empathy,
along those lines.
right? And now we can start having a conversation and we can help her through this, right?
Just diffuse your customer's anxiety because it's through the roof at this point. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, they've kind of given you some form of no or concern. So it's going to be uncomfortable for both parties.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Remember, many objections are simply auto responses. So remember we talked about the emotional mind in module 1 and how people make emotional buying decisions and they react emotionally. This is very true, especially when their anxiety comes back up, they hear that price, they hear everything they need, and now they're going to be very emotional. That logic is kind of gone by the wayside for now. And many sales objections are going to be what we'll call a knee-jerk reaction or an auto response. And they might just go, oh, this is insane. This is insane. $1,800? I mean, this car's not worth that much money. They're not thinking, they're just reacting.
Right.
So we got to let them go through that process. We got to let them talk it through, which kind of leads into step number 3, right?
Yeah. So just remember that you guys have a position where you've got to listen. You got to let them vent, right? Let them get all their cards out on the table because it might necessarily be an auto response. Don't take that personally, by the way. I don't want you to take offense to that or beat yourself up for it. But then you've got to learn, from what they're saying. What are the cues they're giving you? Don't interrupt, just take notes. Maybe you're on the phone, jot it all down, but then be thankful. If they say to you something along the lines of, well, Kevin, this is wild. I mean, I think I'm just going to trade this thing in. I'm done. Well, that's very different from them saying, you know what? I'm so checked out, Kevin. I want my keys. Give me my keys. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
You can't really turn them around from that second little role play I just did. But if they say they're thinking about trading in the car, well, be thankful because that's still a buying sign. You can still salvage the relationship, possibly the lost sale, if we have some dialogue and we don't just roll over and say, okay, well, hopefully I'll see you next time around with a new car. That's not the right thing to do for the customer either. So if you guys get objections, bottom line, be thankful. I mean, it's a buying sign. There's still something they're not on board with you about, and you can fix that.
Yeah, they're saying to you, hey, Jen, I really want to buy from you, but there's this thing. Can we talk about it? So we do look at it as a buying sign. If you have an objection, it's not a flat out, hey, I just want my keys and I want to get out of here. They still want to talk to you. So you've really got that opportunity to help them see things a little differently or to correct that mistake in your communication, right? Yes. This is really cool. So objections really are typically buying signs. And I'm just going to come back up to number 2. Remember how we said many objections are simply, we'll call them emotional auto responses. It's really important that you're skilled at how to handle objections because if you're not careful, you're going to react to their emotional response emotionally. And you're going to just start on the defense and start going, well, Jen, I mean, this stuff really needs to be done. And just as a reminder, we use really good quality parts and you've got that warranty in place. You already told her that. You're being emotional. We need to calm down, listen, show empathy, and then have a very calm, logical conversation.
Right.
Right.
Kind of a rule of thumb. I mean, if the customer's objection is coming at you in an emotional way, you have to rebuttal that with a logical response. And then, the flip side of that, it feels a little counterintuitive, but it works. Let's just say the customer's objection's coming at you very logically. They're taking estimate from shop A and comparing it to the estimate from your shop B, and they're trying to compare.
Look at what they want, look at what you want, look at what they're charging for this part, look at what you're charging.
Yeah, that's logical. That's not emotional. They're being very clear and calm with you. Well, maybe not calm, but logical with you. You can't rebuttal that with another logical response. You actually have to come in emotionally and impact them and remind them it's not a price war in that situation. It's more about, feeling comfortable, working with the right shop, right? Ethics, transparency, value. So if this confuses you, just know that we've got many more service advisor training programs that really drill into handling sales objections with a lot more time, where you essentially become the masters of these kind of hurdles.
Yeah, it's an art. It
Mhm.
really is a communication art form, especially when there's a lot of emotion back injected into the conversation where these objections come up. So it does take practice, but these are the cardinal rules. These are some of the big ones. And number 4, avoid disagreeing with the customer. You know, we've all heard that saying in sales, the customer's always right. Well, this is sort of what that is. I mean, we can never, ever let them feel that we're disagreeing with them. So agree with them first. So if they say to you, you know, this is insane. This car's not worth it. I really think I'm going to trade this in. This is just crazy. I mean, every time we come in, we put more money into the car. This isn't worth it. It's not worth it to me. I'm done. I think I'm done with this. Don't disagree and say, well, gosh, I mean, have you seen what new cars cost? And, you know, I mean, gosh, you'd be way better off to keep this thing. And because, you know, whatever you're going to say to them, that's a disagreement. The very first thing you need to say is, you know what, Jen? You know what? That's an option. That's always an option that you have.
Mhm.
And for all we know, that maybe that will end up being the best option. Why don't we look at it, dissect it, and figure out the best plan? Does that sound good?
Yeah. So now I'm hearing from the customer's mouth, from the horse, or from the advisor's mouth, the horse's mouth, they're in agreement with me. That's going to reduce my anxiety. So avoid disagreeing with the customers. Give them more information to reconsider. We'll
Right.
get into that, but that would be some rules. Let's get into some more.
Yes. Okay. So number 5 says when necessary, isolate the objection by asking the customer to elaborate or give a little more info, because many times you'll hear something as a service advisor and you'll assume it means one thing, but it really doesn't. It's vague. Like, for example, if they say to you, that's too much money, that's really high, I might assume they mean that we're priced too high, when what they really mean is that the last time they had brakes done on their other car, which is a totally different make and model, and it was 4 years ago, it didn't cost anywhere near this much. You with us on that?
Yeah,
right?
So you have to be clear. So anytime you guys get an objection or a concern that's a little vague, simply ask them to elaborate. Just say, you know, Doris, you're saying that it's too high, and I just want to make sure I'm helping you out the best I can. Would you mind elaborating a little bit on it's too high?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that just seems like a lot. I was looking at, like, just kind of browsing around because I figured I needed brakes. And I mean, I just saw a lot of prices that were way lower than what you're quoting me.
So now we know she's doing the price comparison game to possible other shops or things out there. Maybe in my head, I thought she meant she simply doesn't have the money.
Right.
Do you see how there can be a lot of confusion?
So ask them to elaborate. That's one way to do it. Another thing you could do is just repeat it, but kind of bring the tonality up at the end, like it's a question. So you could do, so Jen, you say it's too much money?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't understand why you're charging $300 more than when this shop I went to yesterday. Now, see where we're going with this?
So either which way you go, you got to get them to tell you more information you don't know. And you'll waste a lot of time and energy handling the wrong objection, frustrating the customer, and losing the sale.
Yeah. Okay. Then once you have resolved the customer's concern and or objection, this is where we're just going to quickly reoffer the services that you had previously recommended, get that verbal affirmation from them, and move on.
Yeah.
So we just want to make sure we're clear and we're setting the right expectations.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Number 7 says, know when you've done all that you can do to help. We love it if you're a tenacious service advisor / salesperson and you really want to try to save the sale and help this customer make a good decision. But there comes a point where you got to follow these rules. We don't want to frustrate the person. We don't want them not coming back. We don't want to lose the customer. So these are the rules. Number 1 is when you feel the customer becoming frustrated, if you sense they're starting to get anxious and frustrated, just kind of quit while you're ahead and just let it be. You may have to lose the sale for that. Number 2, if you feel you're becoming frustrated, anytime your negative emotions start getting involved, we know it's probably not going to be a good outcome. Just kind of quit while you're ahead and accept that you lost the sale. And number 3, when you've addressed all of the customers' questions and concerns, you've answered them all to the best of your ability, and they still make a decision to not go ahead, you got to quit. Because the moment you start repeating yourself and regurgitating the same information and the same reasoning, you're going down a bad road, right?
Yeah.
So those are the rules.
Those are the parameters.
When do you
okay?
stop, right?
Yeah.
And we actually, guys, are going to do another course just like this. It's not going to be till after the maybe when we don't know for sure when we're going to be launching it.
It'll
right?
be 2020 for
2020.
Sure. We're going to do an online sales objection specific webinar where we're just covering sales objections. We're just scratching the surface of it here, but check out our calendar for the 2020 agenda, and we'll make sure that we blast out notifications too. But if this interests you, join us next year for a specific handling objection webinar.
Yep, we're going to have a phone skills webinar, and then we're going to go into sales objections. I think that's our plan. So, and of course, our master's program goes super deep into objection handling. That was tough to get out.
Very deep. So
Okay.
now let's get into the vehicle delivery. Remember, we said that this is one big resale in itself. So here are some tips on how to really wow the customer with that last touch point. We know you have to continue always building rapport. Every single time you communicate with that customer, especially at vehicle delivery, we're going to pick up on where we left off. We want to talk about signs of life. We want to connect with them. We're going to talk about weekend plans or maybe the holiday coming up. We want to continue building rapport.
Further the relationship every chance you get with that rapport building, guys. This is how we have great customers that want to come back and see us. Number two, we want to resell the customer on the service they chose. So now we're just talking about another little, you know what, Jen, you said you went ahead with that premium service and you said you felt that that was the best choice.
Right.
And you know what, I would have done the exact same thing. I think we made a really, really good choice. You guys are going to be very pleased with that.
Sweet.
I really believe that. So we're going to do that again because a lot of times passed between when they said yes on the phone and we did that. We did it once before, right after they said yes, let's go ahead and do it. We're going to do it again. A lot of times passed. Who knows who they've talked to or what they've seen or or kind of research they did. So resell them again.
Yeah, because a little bit of buyer's remorse could creep in. So reduce that. Now, once you've done that, you want to review the customer's repair order, obviously, but importantly as well, any and all relative documents in detail. So they're physically with you. Let's get through it, make sure they're at peace with what just took place today or yesterday, maybe they're in today to pick up the car. And then if you've got any relative documents to kind of support the reasoning behind your repairs or services, anything that just kind of proves that this was the smart decision to do, I would much rather have them go home and read that versus nitpick the repair order when they're walking out the door.
Absolutely.
Right?
We have what are called post-service instructions. They're in a brochure. It's all very professionally branded for the shops that we work with, but it'll support the benefits of the services they just did or any upcoming services that are going to be due that we're going to schedule them in for, but it'll also tell them how to protect their investment. It'll tell them things to note that may feel different, smell different, act differently, so that to reduce warranty claims. These are really cool. But remember what we learned in that UCLA study, people believe what they see. So anything that you give them in writing is going to have a lot of power.
Yes. And then if you can, this is just a tip, offer for them to inspect the old parts that you replaced or repaired. This just shows transparency. It's showing that you're not hiding anything. Some people will probably take you up on that offer, but maybe hang on to those parts for like 24, 48 hours if you can. Offer for them to check it out. And, it's just a nice way to give really good customer care.
Yeah, just transparency. All right. Number 5. Discuss how the customer can protect their investment. We sort of alluded to that these post-service instructions can help you do that, but Jen, it might sound something like, Jen, I want to team up with you. We want to team up with you here at Elite Auto and just help you squeeze every mile that you can out of these new brakes.
Okay.
So take a look here in this brochure. It talks about how with new brakes, we want to avoid hard stops within the first 1,000 miles.
Okay.
We want to always use our emergency brake because it'll help avoid some of the brake wear.
Okay.
That adjustment we did today on the caliper slides, that'll really help as well. These are the kind of things to help protect our investment.
Yeah. So that the customer will appreciate that you're trying to, help them squeeze as many dollars out of whatever they just invested in, right? Now, here's a kicker. I know a lot of shops are not currently doing this, and I just feel it will make your lives a heck of a lot easier while you have the customer with you, physically with you. Let's pre-schedule their next visit. And what we'll do is we'll sell them, intellectually on the benefits of that next service. So let's be presumptive. Let's get them in like your doctor's office does, or your dentist, or your nail salon.
My hair salon. I better schedule it now or I'm not going to get in, right?
Or your chimney sweep people.
Right.
It works. You pre-schedule the next visit,
Right.
and then it's out of sight, out of mind. You don't even have to worry about it again.
Yeah, you have to be presumptive with this. We've tried it every which way. So you just say, you know what, Jen, I went ahead and I scheduled this in for you for 6 months from now. And Jen's gonna say, I have no idea what I'm doing in 6 months. And I'm gonna say, don't even worry about it. We'll call you way ahead of time. We can always move it. But this way, you don't have to worry about it. Let us worry about it for you.
Yes, that's very different than asking the customer point blank, would you like me to schedule your next appointment?
Don't do that.
Yeah. Be assumptive and you take the responsibility of wiggling it around. If they can't be there, they don't know what they're doing in 3 months from now, that's fine. I'm sure you guys give a call or send a mail or a text or an email. We'll just thump it for them. But do this while they're with you. This is going to make your job a heck of a lot easier than having to, track these people down and hound them to schedule the next call 6 months from now.
Right.
Yeah.
Come to think of it, Jen, I wish that my place had done that with me the last time I went in. They didn't. Now I got to try to remember when it is.
Yeah, so just make it easier for the customer. Now, before they leave, these are 2 go-to questions. We call these closing questions. Before the customer leaves, make sure this becomes a part of your daily repertoire. Ask them, 1, if they have any other questions for you. That could cover what just took place today. It could be questions about the next visit. Like, just get all the cards out on the table. And then once they're good there, ask if there's anything else you can help them with. You'll be very surprised if you get in the habit of asking these questions, how many reservations or hesitations you can just kind of nip in the bud now to keep these customers happy. They might think of another problem they have on a different vehicle, and you can start gaining more business. I mean, a lot of things happen when you ask these questions before they just walk out the door.
Yeah, and not to mention, it really just is these are kind of the mark of exceptional service. If you've ever been anywhere or been on a call with a company and they say this at the end of that engagement or that conversation, it really feels like just awesome service. They're really caring about you. We always say these 2 questions sort of say, I'm doing what I'm doing with you because I want to, not because it's a job, not because I have to. Sort of that difference in the feeling that your customer is going to get. So at the end of every engagement, always finish with these closing questions.
And then the last tip, this is our favorite one.
It is.
This is what's really going to impress your customers, and it's got to be sincere. I really hope you guys love what you do because when you shake their hand, you're not going to thank them for their credit card. You're not going to thank them for their business. That's a little transactional. We want to make this as personal as possible. We want you to thank them from your heart and let them know that you appreciate their trust.
Yeah, guys, this is your moment. This is that time where you're really able to, shake their hand and say, you know what? There are a lot of places you could have chosen, and especially if it's a first-time customer. I know that it's your first time in. And I just want to thank you. Thanks for putting your faith in us. Thanks for the trust you gave us. We don't take that lightly. And I'd love to see you next time you come in. I really look forward to that, and I'm going to continue to work to earn that trust. So thanks so much for that.
Yep.
Right?
That will be nice.
Yeah, the customer's going to walk away and go, you know what? I really like these people. These are the people. This is where I'm bringing my car for service. So that's if we could give you a tip to grab on this one, man, that would be it.
Okay. All right, so here's the game plan. What we're going to do right now is the usual Q&A. Ask us any questions about, the sales objection tips or vehicle delivery. Now's the time. Then we're going to get into what we want you to focus on moving forward for life.
Your next steps, right? Your action items.
Then we're going to take the test. So there's some slides that I'm going to give you, Doris and I, to prepare you for the test. But you're here. We're doing it. We're taking it live right now. So first, let's just do some Q&A, answer your questions, and then we'll get into the exam and next steps.
All right, guys, so we have another 30 minutes with you. Don't go anywhere yet.
Yes, you're supposed to be here for an extended amount of time, as we warned you last week. I'm going to open up our question panel. I'm turning the camera off so you're not looking right at my face. And type in your questions, everyone, if there's anything that comes to mind.
We've got quite a few.
Let's
Way to go,
see.
guys.
Well, we've got
Hi, Matt.
Hi, Matt. We got a welcome message here. Here's a great question. Okay, this is from Tim. Okay, Tim, how do you handle the customers when they all come in to pick up their cars at the same exact time? Okay.
That's a good question.
Yeah, so that's a toughie, but this can be managed, Tim. So we want you to ideally, in a perfect world, schedule the car deliveries with your first time customers. So meaning schedule it by figuring out a general time frame they think they can come in, so at least you can be there with the first time customers.
Yeah, do it at least with your first time customers. You could do these on 15-minute increments through the remainder of the afternoon. It's a heavy schedule. Try to at least at a bare minimum get those first time customers in, and then maybe move to people that had a really high dollar repair or a comeback, right? We want to make sure that we do a great job. So that's a good question.
So you guys have to have employee backup. I mean, that's just critical. So think about the time frames where it's just really hectic. I would imagine first thing in the morning, probably around lunch, and then I bet it's safe to say anytime after like 3:34 gets a little crazy, depending where you're located. So you guys really need to sit down as a team and talk about your vehicle delivery process and what backup's going to look like.
Yeah.
If you are dealing with 3 people standing in front of you to pick up the car and the phone's ringing, I mean, maybe after the 4th ring, that phone call rolls over into like someone's cell phone at the shop, or maybe a foreman can step in and at least take a message or help. So you really need to have the proper backup at your high peak traffic hours.
Yeah. That's so systems. Sit down with management and get on board with what's going to be the best plan to make sure you can really take care of your customers. Okay, here we got another good one. This is from Lisa. Let's see, what do I do with the customers that pick up their car after our shop has closed? Good question. You're closed. They can't you can't be there with them. What do you do? Well, what we want you to do, Lisa, is do everything that we just outlined over the phone. Do what we'll call a passive delivery over the phone with them. Go through the exact same thing. If you can email them a copy of the repair order and the final invoice, whatever systems you have set up for that. But you want to make sure to try to answer any of their questions or concerns before they pick it up. Let them know who to see when they show up, or how that process works, and then you can always follow up with them to make sure that it all went well.
I would definitely recommend that as well. And then, if the documents are there on the seat of their car, I mean, that's all going to make sense. So just don't leave them blindsided there. Yeah. And Doris brings up a good point. Like a passive delivery is when you're not physically there doing that with them.
Yeah.
I would consider that an active delivery. So even if you're going to be out the next day, maybe you've got a doctor's appointment or you're just out sick, I would hope everyone on your front end of the business at the counter understands how to do a passive delivery for their counterpart if they're not there, because that's going to happen every once in a while.
Sure it is. Yeah. Make sure everyone in your company is on board. Anyone who could be doing this delivery with the customers following the same kind of process, and that there's really good communication. That's important.
Okay,
we got I think another one.
Do you guys have any other questions? We don't have as many today as last time.
Fewer. I'm wondering if there's something wrong with.
Okay. If there aren't any more, here we go. Here's another one.
Here we go.
It's working. Okay, here's another one that came in. A phone follow-up after hours
pickup helps a lot. Yeah, thank you for affirming that, Pat. That's great. We do have one more here. Oh wait, let's see. Okay, this is a good one. Joe, how do you handle the customer that asks if the price you just gave them is your best price? Is that your best price? You guys ever hear that?
Yeah, some people are just trained, right? Culturally, maybe to negotiate. That's just their deal. Sometimes people are told by their spouses to, try to haggle or get the price down, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, our industry has trained customers to do that. They think they can get away with that in an auto repair shop, right? So we need to help train them a little differently. But the thing that you could do there, they actually, in that situation, Jen, they asked a simple question: is that your best price? So that's kind of a yes or no answer that you can give them. So I would simply answer it, you know what, yes, it is. Thanks so much for asking. And just as a reminder, that comes with that full, 4-year, 40,000-mile warranty, and you're going to be really pleased. So yeah, with your thumbs up, let's go ahead and get it done. What do you say? So you just answered it. A lot of people are going to accept that They're going to be perfectly happy with that. They felt a little uncomfortable asking you in the beginning anyways, because their husband told them to ask.
Yeah.
Right. So, and that's not going to work with everyone, but it will work with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you handle it with the right tonality and the right energy and it's kind of upbeat, they'll just say, okay, great. She told me that's the best price. They're obviously not going to haggle. So let's just move forward.
Yeah. Great. Okay.
Yeah.
And last but not least, Alex, you're asking if we can go backwards in the slide. He's asking to re-show the sales cycle with what number steps 8 and number step 5 is. Alex, I have this recorded. Every Wednesday, you guys have been getting a link to access the recording, so watch that. But verbally, just to let you know, step 5 is build interest and value, if you want to jot that down. And step 8 is resell the service. Okay.
All right.
So here we go. I'm going to turn the camera back on. Now that we've answered the live questions, let's get into next steps. Okay. Come on, slide. Here we go.
There we go. Thank you, slide. The next steps in your success. All right. We're not going to see you for a while. We're really sad about that. So we're going to help you move forward on your journey and get some really cool things done in a world of sales. And people, number one, mark your calendar to read the best book that you could ever possibly read when it comes to people in sales. How to Win Friends and Influence People. This is by Dale Carnegie. People always ask Jen and I, what book would you recommend if you're going to choose one for us to read to become better salespeople? Inevitably, it's going to be this.
Mm-hmm.
It's written in the 1930s. It's an older book, but man, it's the best book around for this. We really strongly recommend that you guys pick it up. It's a quick read and do it within the next 30 days. If you haven't read this yet, it'll be game-changing, life-changing.
Mm-hmm.
It'll help your personal lives. It'll help your relationships at home with your children, your spouses, your technicians, the people you work with, and certainly will help you become a really great salesperson that has ethics in mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
Commit that 8 steps of the elite sales cycle to memory. We've gone through it every webinar, so go back. These recordings that we're saving onto our webinar platform, you guys can access these recordings for like 30 days, 3 months. So next year, let's just watch these a few more times and commit the elite sales cycle to memory.
Absolutely. And begin recording your sales presentations. Please, guys, use your smartphones, get a recorder. We give these to students in our more advanced courses, but you can use your smartphone for these. Do it in a professional and ethical way. Every state has different laws with recording that we need to keep in mind. Like in the state of California, you have to say, we're recording this.
Mm-hmm.
The customer needs to be aware of it. But even if you only catch your side of this,
use it for training
it's
purposes.
It's going to help you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Number 4, master step number 1 of the elite sales cycle in the next 30 days. Really put your focus in on becoming a great rapport builder, really great at connecting with people, building that trust, getting your conversations about family. Please go back and watch module 1.
Yeah.
That's
Remember,
really important.
They want to feel good. People make emotional buying decisions based on how they feel. So building rapport, selling yourself is going to get them there.
The first sale you have to make is yourself, okay? Number 5, make a personal commitment. This is last but not least.
Yes.
To self-improvement and to never putting money ahead of people. People do business with people, guys, not with companies. We need to make sure that you're constantly working on yourselves. This is something that we should all do, and always put people first,
Mm-hmm.
right? What is the best decision for them? We need to always put that first.
Absolutely. Okay. You
All
ready
right,
to get
I'm ready.
into their surprise little perk?
Yes, we have a present for you.
Yes.
This is awesome, guys. This is a 45-minute audio course. We're giving it to all of you that have joined us at High Impact and given of your time to be here. We could tell you really want to be better at what you do, so we're going to send you this. It's called Mastering Sales Objections, and it's an amazing audio course. You can download it onto your laptop, your smartphone, and listen to it over and over and over again and become masters.
Yes, it's an MP3 file. So listen to it on your jog or on your commute home. Basically, it's Bob Cooper, the president of our company, handling the most common sales objections, which have not disappeared.
They've been the same. There's about 6 to 8 of them, and they're the same. They've always been the same.
So listen to it a few times. It's our gift to you. It's going to be emailed by Diana, and I'm going to email a copy of it to your shop owners. So look for that today.
Yes, love that.
Okay.
Okay, let's talk about what we can do to prep for the test. Here we are, guys, okay? We're gonna get you ready for this, so make sure you're
You're paying attention. Okay.
Right place.
So what I'm gonna do right now